Hi, my name is Michelle Tateo. My project consisted of various educational presentations on healthy living topics for children at a child care center. These topics included the importance of exercise, nutrition, and hygiene habits such as hand washing and cough sneeze etiquette. This project also involved teaching children from the age ranges of 2.5 to 5 and 6 to 9 years old. Learning styles between both age ranges are very different. My overall goal was to achieve a positive learning experience for each child that was also tailored to the specific developmental age. It is important that children are aware of these healthy living topics at an early age to help generate healthy habits and lifestyles. Another one of my goals was to ensure that the childcare workers also gain knowledge on these concepts so that they would continue to reinforce healthy habits. My first objective consisted of obtaining reliable resources and information. The next objective was to prepare lesson plans that focused on healthy eating habits, exercise, and healthy hygiene habits for up to 15 children that were both fun and educational at the same time. The next objectives occurred after the completion of my presentations. After the nutrition presentation, children would be able to identify which foods and meals were healthy versus unhealthy. After the physical activity presentation, they would also be able to understand the importance of exercise by naming at least 3 benefits of physical activity. In my last objective, I wanted children to demonstrate proper hand washing and cough sneeze etiquette. Here we see a timeline of my project. I started developing my project on March 27th. Between March 27th and April 4th, I was able to design a project statement while getting in contact with Annie, who is the supervisor of the center, and have my contract approved. After that, I was able to start researching and creating lesson plans for the various developmental ages. During that time, I was also able to create my project proposal, gather the supplies needed to present my project, and have the lesson plans approved by Annie. I later fell behind on my timeline and had to present a week later due to scheduling conflicts. Luckily, I planned extra time just in case this were to happen, and I was able to complete my presentations during the first 2 weeks of May. I anticipated many benefits of presenting education on healthy topics to children in the community. As I mentioned earlier, I decided to present on health topics such as nutrition, exercise, and hygiene. These health topics are extremely important in building healthy habits for every child's future. Teaching children on nutrition and exercise will help them to make healthy choices, which will later prevent chronic diseases. Today, technology plays a vital role in our society. We are starting to see rising obesity rates and an increasing amount of children staring at the screens of their devices instead of playing outside with their friends. As you can see, these presentations will not only help their physical health, but also their mental and social health too. While there are many benefits of this project, I still anticipated a few problems to occur. One problem that I had anticipated occurring included children not wanting to participate. Although I would like every child to play a role in this presentation, Kids World strives to create a positive learning experience. At this center, children are allowed to make the choice to participate. Another problem that I anticipated occurring is that children may lose interest in the concepts of if the presentation is boring or the length is too long. In the end, I tried to keep each presentation to a suitable length while hoping that all children would be able to learn and remember these healthy concepts. Bringing in many educational resources certainly helped to make that happen. Many resources were needed to conduct my presentation project. In terms of money, I spent $54. In terms of time, this project took me 102.5 hours. I was able to develop 4 lesson plans for 2 different age groups. For each age group, I was able to conduct one presentation that focused on the importance of healthy eating and physical activity, and the other consisted of healthy hygiene habits. Each presentation consisted of an introduction of information that we would use later in a focus group activity. The activities helped me to gauge and evaluate what the kids had learned from the information that I provided them with. These are the lesson plans that I created, which focuses on the 2.5 to 5-year-old age range. I spent more time explaining concepts during these lesson plans because these children are still very new to learning these topics, especially considering the fact that they have not yet started school. The visual aids that I chose for the younger group do not contain many words. At this age, children have not learned to read yet, so I attempted to teach them through the images displayed. After further research, I found that pretend play is a big part of this age group. So for this nutritional presentation, I decided to purchase play food. Using the play food, we were able to pretend we were shopping. As the children went shopping around the room, we practiced naming the foods and stating which ones were healthy versus unhealthy. As for the hand washing presentation, we were able to conduct an experiment. I needed soap, water, pepper, and a plate for the make germs scatter experiment. Through this experiment, children are able to get an idea of why soap is important when washing our hands and preventing germs. These are the lesson plans that focused on the 5 to 9-year-old age range. I asked many more questions during these presentations because I was able to get an idea of what the older kids understood about the topics. From there, I was able to fill in the blanks and educate them on anything that they were not aware of. During these ages, children are learning to read, so many of the images contain words. I also focused on more complex topics such as food group portions and how much exercise we should be getting each week. I also needed to obtain materials for the activities of this age group. We used real food ingredients to make a salad. These children were able to get more hands-on independent experience with being able to feel confident in choosing their own ingredients and making their own meals, all while learning about healthy food at the same time. During the hand washing activity, we were able to use lotion and glitter to see how germs can spread when we touch each other's hands or objects around the room. Here we can see a video of how germs are spread. Using glitter germs, we are able to watch how easily germs can be spread to one another. During the hand hygiene presentation, children were able to use lotion and glitter to see how germs can spread when we touch each other's hands or objects around the room. This video is an example of what we did during my educational presentation. Using these glitter germs, children were able to see how easily germs spread from person to person. I did not have to purchase anything for either of the physical activity portions. We only needed to use an outdoor space and our bodies to practice this concept. Personal support from the Kids World staff was needed while conducting these presentations. The staff helped to gather and get all children involved in the activities. They also helped to evaluate my project using the learning objectives I created for the lesson plans. One applicable theory that relates to my project is Erikson's theory of psychosocial development. In this project, we focus on initiative versus guilt, also known as play age, and industry versus inferiority, also known as school age. During the initiative versus guilt stage, children start to interact with other children and play is central. During the industry versus inferiority stage, children begin to do things on their own, and the child's peer group becomes very important. Building confidence is a vital part of this stage. Having an understanding of this theory helped me to create age-appropriate lesson plans for each age group. There have been many research studies done that relate and support my educational project presentation to children and child care workers. As I mentioned before, obesity is starting to become much more prevalent. This brings me to the first study that relates to my educational presentation. The first study that I found was called Big, Strong, and Healthy: Young Children's Identification of Food and Drink That Contribute to Healthy Growth. In this research article, we learn about how important it is to educate on nutrition. The study first states the importance of keeping track of children's development of understanding food and drink. Researchers aim to obtain and document information on young children's evaluation of food and drink and what they considered to be healthy. Researchers also looked into socioeconomic factors, family eating habits, and children's television viewing. Data had been collected from children between ages 3 and 5 and from their parents. Research showed us that these children had high levels in the ability to identify healthy foods and their benefits. Although the children had an increased knowledge on healthy foods, they also found that these children were less able to reject unhealthy foods. The results of this study showed the importance of teaching children more about less healthy foods during preschool ages. I was also able to find a research study titled A Review of Early Influences on Physical Activity and Sedentary Behaviors of Preschool-Age Children in High-Income Countries. The study focused on early influences of physical education and sedentary behavior on preschool-age children. The purpose of the study was to promote physical activity as a vital part in preventing childhood obesity. It mentions that although there are many benefits of physical activity, we have seen that physical activity rates in children have declined over the past years, and many children are not obtaining sufficient activity daily. It also states the importance of helping children to develop a foundation that focuses on physical activity. This foundation helps to develop habits early in life, which promotes a healthy childhood and helps prevent chronic diseases later in life. In the end, it will promote healthier and longer lives for each child and for the general population. As I have previously mentioned, another topic that I plan on presenting on is hygiene. The next research study that relates to my educational presentation was called Hand Hygiene Program Decreases School Absences Due to Upper Respiratory Infections. In this study, researchers assessed the effectiveness of a hand washing program to prevent school absences. The methods used to conduct this study consisted of a randomized control study of about 1,341 children between the ages of 4 and 12 years old. They separated children into two groups, an experimental group and a control group. The experimental group washed their hands using soap and used hand sanitizers. The control group had used usual hand washing procedures. It was found that school children of the experimental group had a 38% lower risk of absences due to an upper respiratory infection. In conclusion, researchers of the study suggest that hand washing with soap and use of hand sanitizer, along with educational support, is an effective measure in helping to reduce absences due to upper respiratory infections. Agency criteria mostly focused on lesson plan and activity development. The supervisor of Kids World, Annie, was able to guide me in the right direction when developing these teaching plans. She wanted to make sure that all activities and products used were safe for children. She also wanted to ensure that all children were able to learn in a fun and positive manner. Lastly, lesson plans were to reflect the age group in order to assure that these presentations would be useful for all children. The supervisor and staff of Kids World evaluated my lesson plans and presentations using this vital criteria. It was expected that I provide safe and educational activities for every child. They also wanted to assure that the child received a positive learning experience. Criteria for my agency was used to evaluate whether or not my lesson plans met the standards of this facility. The first two objectives listed have been fully met, whereas the others had been partially met. I feel as though these objectives were partially met due to the fact that children need further reinforcement. This is especially needed for younger children because they need more time to grasp some of these topics. Many of the older children had prior knowledge and were able to comprehend the topics that I had discussed. Although those objectives were partially met, the last objective listed had been met. The staff feels much more confident in their knowledge and teaching skills of these healthy living topics. This project has been completed, but as I mentioned before, reinforcement from the child care workers at the Kids World facility is very important, especially in making sure that the children keep these habits in mind. In conclusion, I do not recommend any changes. I was able to educate many children in the community on topics that are extremely beneficial to developing healthy lifestyles and habits. I hope that the child care workers at this center have also learned more on these topics and will be able to reinforce the skills and knowledge to all children that they come into contact with. Thank you for taking the time to watch my presentation.